am in community with Lurie Daniel Favors, host of the Lurie Daniel Favors Show right here on 126, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Also the director for the Center for Law and Social Justice at Medgar Evers College.
Hey.
So before the break, this is going to be a constant drumbeat leading into 2024 and beyond. How do we build? How do we build? How do we build, Lurie Daniel Favors?
So, we didn't spill the seed during the commercial break, which sometimes, I took that practice from you as well. But so my initial response is whenever you're going to build something, you got to test the soil. Right, like my brother's an engineer, and I didn't really know what that meant. And so I was like, Keith, what do you actually do? Like, what does that mean? Because you be outside all the time. Like, he was like, well, I'm the type of engineer where I have to, before you put a building, a lake, anything you want to put somewhere, you got to test the soil, because the soil, you just talked about the pool and breaking ground. Certain types of soil can't handle certain types of weight. Certain types of structures don't do good in certain types of ground. So you got to test the soil and see what could be conducive in this kind of ground. So I think we got to ask, before we can say, how do we build here, what does the soil tell us about what would grow from whatever is planted in this space? And so that to me is always sort of like my framing question. And I think that who's doing the building also matters, right? Like if we're talking about people who are doing the active work of, internally and interrogating their internalized white supremacy and who are grappling with things, that's one thing. Most of us, I don't think, are doing that in any active, meaningful way. So before I could say, how do we build here, I need to get an understanding as to the environment that we're trying to build in. Who are we building with? Are we talking about building for us, not relying on all of us to do the building? Because that,
Yes.
Okay, so then
yes.
How does somebody like a Black intellectual and the newest rapper, Sexxy Red, yes, how do we get them in a space where we can be on the same page?
We don't.
Okay.
So here's how. So I'm walking. I do my little walks in the morning, and I'm downloaded this book because I watch CBS Sunday Morning, and they featured Hernan Diaz and his book Trust that won a Pulitzer. I didn't know about it. So I was like, let me listen to this. And the first pages, in the opening pages, he's talking about a tobacco magnate who rose to wealth in the 1660s. And he was talking about tobacco and the farms, and he had a farm in Cuba, 1660s in Cuba and the New World, and he made millions. And I paused and was like, let me remember this. So it wasn't about the tobacco, he says. The reason why tobacco and cigar smoking became so prevalent was because it was a way for men to be in the room together to talk about building. Yeah. To talk about how they were going to become captains of industry. And he talked about presidents, people who would become presidents, and there would be these spaces where the cigar became the conduit to power. And I thought about it, and I'm going to come back to this Hernan Diaz's book Trust, which is about wealth. It's a novel that looks at wealth through so many different stories. It's so well done. But I was thinking about, the first time I got money, big money, to start a magazine. It was at Club Macanudo where the deal was struck. It was a guy who ran a fund at Bear Stearns. Meet me at Club Macanudo. I had never been there. I don't smoke or drink. So I'm in a cigar bar with this guy, his girlfriend, who's the one that introduced us. Eating, not drinking, cigar, it was that. But this is where so some people it's the golf course.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Some people, it's the Yale Club, it's the Harvard Club. It's the clubs that are exclusive. It's why they don't want your ass there.
That's right.
Okay.
Invitation only.
And then I was thinking as I was walking, is this what happens in our fraternities and sororities? 866-801-8255. So no, we don't even need to know if the soil, because we know the soil is good or people wouldn't be coming here. Risking life and limb. We know there's some good soil here because we the motherfreakers that planted. Okay, we know stuff grows here. Lurie Daniel Favors. But you asked the question about I don't think we need everyone on the same page.
I think we do. I think we need at least to have an understanding that there is a page to be on, and you can choose to not be on it, but that for the good of the community, which may or may not be your primary interest right now. there is a page that we should be on. And the reason I say that is because, there's been a whole lot of controversy about Miss Red. And I played some of her comments on my show. She just because.
Let's play it so that people know what you're talking about. Some girl who has 812,000 followers on Twitter. Mm-hmm. I didn't know about her until 2 days ago.
I knew she's the one that sings the song, the rainbow color song about her vagina and her anus. Like, my coochie is this, my coochie is pink, my booty hole brown. Like that.
Booty hole brown?
I just call it like that.
I know that song. Booty hole brown song.
It's the same girl. Yeah.
Why do I know that song? Oh my God.
Reese Colbert is the person who I first heard about this song.
My booty hole brown. I do know that song, and I feel really bad about myself for knowing it.
Well, but here's the thing. When she made some comments. She made some comments about Trump.
Okay, we're gonna play it. We're gonna play it. But I do know her. But I didn't know that was her name. I just knew that her booty hole was brown.
Yes,
and that's good. We should all have brown booty holes. Okay, go ahead, Smith.
Yeah, they support him in the hood. Cause at first I don't think people was fucking with him, like they thought he was racist, saying little shit and against women. But once he started getting black people out of jail and giving people their free money, oh baby, we love Trump. We need him back in office.
Yeah, a little bit of free money goes a long way.
We need him back, cause baby, them checks.
Yeah.
Oh yes, them stimulus checks, Trump. We miss you.
That's like Whoa Vicky. She's always talking about Trump. You see her ever?
I like Trump. No, I ain't never seen Whoa Vicky.
She's funny.
I love Trump though. He funny to me. Like I used to watch his not interviews, like him talking to people. He used to be calling people fat.
Yeah,
he just bold.
Wow.
He funny. Like we need people like him.
So anything we build, right? Anything we build has to have a plan for that. And by that, I mean, because when she said it at first, Dr. Wes Bellamy had something on his Instagram where he was talking about the fact that y'all acting like it ain't a whole lot of people in the community that think exactly like this thing. Like she said this thing that y'all don't like, but the y'all that we're talking to ain't the y'all that's doing the actual living in these communities. And the y'all that do the organizing, the activism, rarely do you leave your socioeconomic bracket to go organize. Like a lot of organizers organize within their tax bracket. Not all, but many. Yeah. So it's easier to do social justice.
Wow. And so, you
said it's brothers on my block. Ain't nobody coming to talk to.
Erica Ford's out there.
Yeah. But Erica Ford is dealing with healing community from gun violence. That's a very specific thing. There's a respect for it. When we're talking about civic engagement, for example, we're talking about some of these things that, so unfortunately, for those of us who are doing the organizing and trying to figure out how to motivate people, like when we did that, you mentioned the campaign with the 3 pieces of legislation that we got on the ballot and they all passed. We went 2 people. Like I was talking to my block. Like we were talking to people and we didn't talk about, you gotta vote. We was like, yo, racial justice. What you think? They was like, yeah, son, guess it's on the ballot. Like remember we was out protesting like in 2020? It worked. We actually got this thing on the ballot. But it was you had to leave your socioeconomic bracket. And a lot of us, and I'm gonna just say us in terms of black people who've done better, we don't organize, socialize even outside of our economic bracket unless we're going back home to mom's house.
Or a funeral.
So the reason I mentioned Miss Red, and because I don't ever my thing is like my students are listening to her. Not my Medgar students, but
my students didn't know Noam Chomsky, but they knew that their booty hole was brown.
And not because they looked.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to be in a space. There has to be a space curated where the addiction to white supremacy that we have is being processed in some meaningful way as we build. One of my friends calls it being doctor and patient at the same time. That's why we started Sankofa circles, because it's like, I'm sick, but I also have to build, and I need a therapeutic space that's going to help me unpack my sickness, unpack my addiction to whiteness. And if we don't have a space, and that has to be a space where it's not just the black law students who learned how to speak well and do well. It has to be a space where the corporate brother and the corner boy can be in the same space. And maybe they're not going to be in that same space once they leave that, but there has to be the healing from the injury has to happen in a space where the class stratifications are not allowed to exist. He a gangbanger. Oh, she a bit that cannot exist. And so we had to create spaces where it didn't matter if you was Crip, didn't matter if you was Fortune 500, didn't matter if you was housing unsecured, didn't matter if you own multiple properties. As black people, there are some common things that we have to heal from. And once we started that process, it didn't require us to be healed past tense, because I'm still in the process of healing. But once we were in the process of healing from it, Then we were able to build the African Centered Saturday School. Then we were able to become part of an economic enterprise that was hiring people from the community. But we couldn't do it because the corner boys don't trust corporate boys. Like, I don't trust that. Like, if I don't, like, Mrs., corporate black woman ain't trusting Sexy Red.
Right.
But if you get in a space where all the pretense and all the identity things that we use to separate ourselves from the rest of those people, from our communities that we don't want to be connected to, when you create a space that requires us to engage with each other's humanity, when Sexy Red and Kamala Harris can be in the same room.
Okay.
No.
Whoa, Vicky. Okay.
And see, I know for some people they think Sexy Red and Kamala Harris, why would they be in the same room? Exactly. Like, exactly.
But they should be in the same room. And I'm always going to go to television because it seems to, magnify some things. Last season of The Chi, Lena Waithe, they have these similar circles with multi-generations, multi-economic, social, with the men talking to each other. And it is so beautiful. And I was like, does this exist somewhere? Or is this, I hope it does. I hope it's modeling something in Chicago where brothers from, who used to gangbang and still gangbang can be in the room to talk about the things with no judgment.
Right. But I want them to be able to be in that room with the Fortune 500 brothers.
No. Yeah. There was what's her name's father?
Yes.
The newly elected council person was there with the kid that just shot somebody. 866-801-8255. We're here with Lurie Daniel Favors. As you're also talking, though, what I came away with is I needed somebody to ask her because she was on with Theo, some Theo guy who I remember from Real World, Road Rules. Then he got into I can't stand him, by the way, because I think, he's a mental midget who has a large platform and he's totally not good for us. But that's it. Theo Vaughn, I don't give a damn what his name is. But the point I'm making is that he didn't ask her, did you vote? Like, that's a natural question. So you could like Trump. Yeah. I don't care if you like him. Did you vote? And if the answer is no, do the people, the 812,000 million people that was 812,000 people that follow you, do they vote? The people that know that their booty hole is brown, are they voting? And if they're not voting, then I don't know that we need to engage with them. That's how I felt. That's what I was saying.
Well, but Clay Kane would say that's the biggest voting block.
It is.
So if we don't engage with them, then we stuck dealing with what we got right now.
Okay. All right. You're making a point. So how do we get... Smiz, invite Sexy Red on.
I want her on my... I was going to say that. Jonah, get on
Lurie. I think actually Lurie would be better because I'm
love to
judging.
Have a conversation with her.
I'm judging. It's going not probably end well for either one of us. Never mind. Scratch that. Get her on Lurie's show. I think that's a much better interview.
I would love to have her on the show because she's influencing children.
Let's do a town hall.
Let's do
a town hall with Sexy Red. Whoa, Vic, come on.
Wait, do we want Whoa Vic? I don't know enough about Whoa
maybe
Vicky.
not Whoa Vicky. Whoa Vicky, maybe not. She's Latino though. She's telling us the Latinos like Trump too. She's doing the exact same thing. Smith, find that clip. I like this.
Is she a black identifying Latina? That's a slightly different conversation.
Probably not.
Because it's like talking to a white person who speaks Spanish as opposed to a black person who speaks Spanish.
You probably are talking to a white person who speaks Spanish.
My vision before I leave this earth would be to institutionalize that concept. Would be, and this is something me and B been working on for 11 years. Since we met, we've been working on this type of stuff. But my vision would be to do for people who are addicted to whites, who are grappling with the impact of internalized white supremacy in black bodies, to do for them what Alcoholics Anonymous did for alcohol addicts. Like, that would be, I feel like if you could, by the time I die, 12-step program.
What's step one?
Step one.
Admit that you're a racist? Admit that you have anti-blackness?
Can you identify as black? Because if you can't, you can't be in this space. Okay. So and you can't bring your white spouse, and you can't bring you can't. That was one of the, because as soon as you do, then our sickness it triggers the sickness. It triggers the symptoms and the onset. I want people to be able to go online and type in www. whatever and find a Sankofa circle where if the white supremacy you're grappling with is just too much, you can go, just like if I'm an alcoholic and I'm the temptation is too much, I can go to Alcoholics Anonymous, find a support group, connect that night. I can be in a space with people who are grappling with the same issue and get the support that I need.
And you have a sponsor.
I
like that.
And if we could, and when Joy DeGruy came out with post-traumatic slave syndrome, I was like, okay, we're moving in that direction. We have medicalized this sickness. We've created a term for it. Because alcoholism wasn't always considered a sickness. It used to be like you was just bad morals. And the Lord wasn't in your favor.
Right.
But if we can start the healing process with something concrete, then we transform the condition of the soil. But if we don't have the transformation, whatever we produce will reflect what we are.
866-801-8255. I like that. I like that a lot. I like it a lot. So the soil, I think the soil is good. Do you think the soil is good?
I think the soil is goodable.
Goodable. Okay. I know what that means. I got that. As somebody that just literally turned the soil on my front, like I turned my soil, it's amazing because I had all these mushrooms and stuff, and they were like, "Well, actually, that's the indication that the soil something's good going on because you can't have mushrooms like that." So I'm learning a lot. I'm getting into my growth thing because I'm seeding. But yeah, I'm struggling though.
With what part?
I'm struggling with everybody can't come. I'm in my North Sentinel going to the island and just, on site because I've always operated, Lurie, that if you're in a room with sick people, the likelihood of you getting sick is so much higher, which is why we fastidiously wipe down everything, including your seat and mic and everything. I'm not going to make you healthy. The likelihood of my health getting onto you and making you healthy, you're more likely to make me sick than I am to make you healthy if we're both in a room and you're sick and I'm not. Yeah. So I'm like, let's just build healthiness, and when you get well, we'll be over here. Somebody got to stay behind to help you, but this the address. When you good, here we are. We're over here. That's kind of how so maybe this ain't my ministry.
Could we do it like the Village with No Men? Women do it.
What?
There's this group out in maybe Kenya. I can't remember, but like, so the first iteration of this Village with No Men was like there were these women in the village who was tired of getting their asses beat by the men, and like the men would stop. It was like after colonization, the culture had shifted. There was no more an egalitarian approach to things, and they was like, we out. So the women left, or a certain group of the women left, and they created their own village, banned men. You could not breathe within their space. And then the next generation of women that came out of that, because you could leave and go visit your husband. Your husband couldn't come here. Don't bring that mess around here.
Now, what if you had delivered a baby boy?
Children are fine.
Okay.
Children are fine. And so that gets to the next generation.
Okay.
You have another generation. Some of the families from that next generation move out, and they created another village which says men can come here. They cannot stay, but they can come. And then a third iteration, the next generation of the village, the men could come, but the women were in charge, kind of like the Barbie kind of ish situation. And in the third village, only men who had been sort of through like a transformation were allowed to cohabitate. So it took 4 different iterations to return that soil to what it was, which was housing a more hospitable and egalitarian approach to living. So it takes time, but they had mushrooms. And then they had to turn over the soil because they also had, some things destroying the soil. But then once they purified the process of what they were growing, then they were able to get back to a point where, no, we have a version of the village where men can be. So like for what you said, like you can't be here if you sick. I think we could create an outpost.
Okay.
We could create a shed.
Okay. All right. We're going to talk more. What do you guys think? 866-801-8255 is the number.
And she smiles and says that she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one who loves thinks